So for today's episode of Out the Box, I thought we shouldn't judge a book by the cover. Alright, so listen, throughout my career I've had the absolute privilege to grace a few magazine covers, and man, I couldn't be more grateful. Of course, I've also been on many magazine covers which I wish I hadn't been, but that's a story for another day. Let's talk about the ones I am glad to be on the cover of. And also just reminisce about some of the stories, the significances. This one, for instance, was courtesy of the City Press City Pulse. It was very much about the hip-hop career, and this in actual fact is an image which was in the sleeve for my debut album, The Book of ProVerb. So this came out in the same year, 2005, which is when my debut album came out, The Book of ProVerb. So whenever I see this one, man, I really think fondly of my debut album, which, by the way, still gets a lot of love today. And of course, this one as well was courtesy of Hype Magazine. If I remember correctly, I think this was the one and only time I was ever on the Hype Magazine, which is very cool. And I suppose what's cool about this one is in a song, Writers Club, I referred to being on the cover of Hype, because having a hype is the right cover up, so that whatever you write just might get you on the cover of Hype. Oh! So yeah, man, this is another one that I really think about fondly. And then of course, when the brand began to evolve, I was on the Magic magazine a couple of times, and this was a very cool one. I remember my mom in particular loving this one and asking me if I could send a blown up version of this, so I think she could either keep it in her office or at home, or I'm not too sure. But yeah, this one is sentimental, I suppose, because I know my mom really loved it a lot. Now this one here was another one that I actually dug. It was one of those conceptual covers where half my face is me and the other half was actually drawn in, which I thought was very cool. Now the significance about this particular one, which I need to mention, is that inside there was a Longines advertising and so on, but this is actually because of that sort of a co-cover kind of a thing. This is actually how I forged my great relationship with the wonderful folks at Rado, and we since have a great relationship. So I remember for the evening that they were launching this cover, they were there as well, and I was asked to rock a Rado, and I've had a great relationship with them since. So yeah, that's the one I like. And also, when this cover came out, they did like a little bit of a billboard, and it happened to be en route, to my work every single day. So whenever I drive past, I would see it, and many times I have stopped there to either take a picture or to take the drive-by picture, just because I was really proud of this one. But the ones I want to tell you about, which I spoke myself onto, was this one here. It was also in 2005, and I shared the cover with the incredible Miss Simphiwe Dana. Now, I want to tell you how this cover came to be. So I was working at YFM at the time. If memory serves me correct, I think Rude Boy Paul was very much was the editor of the magazine at the time, right? And they were obviously, they had done many covers and many kind of collaborative covers before then, and they spoke of doing their next cover. Now, I was a technical producer for The Breakfast Show, The Freshest Breakfast Show with DJ Fresh and Tato. So I happened to be in proximity when I overheard them having a conversation. And I kid you not, I literally said, "Hey yo, RBP," as in Rude Boy Paul, when can I jump on the cover, man? And I think the idea hit him right there and there to say, it just so happens we started discussing the next issue. We have confirmed Miss Simphiwe Dana to be on the cover, and maybe it might not be such a bad idea, a nice contrast to throw in a hip-hop head in there. So that's how I ended up on this cover. I literally spoke myself onto it. As you can see, stylistically, between, I think, Rude Boy Paul, and if you know him, and also Miss Impuadana, just so that it isn't too much of a mismatch. I think this is the style that they went for. So this is one of my early covers, and I spoke myself onto this one, which I think is very cool. Now, I also got the opportunity to be on Black Magazine. So as you can see, I'm busy getting my makeup done. I'm about to do a photo shoot at Nick Baldwin's studio. First of all, much respect to Nick. He's probably the illest photographer we have in the continent, but otherwise, amazing opportunity, cover shoot for Black Magazine. What? Your boy is coming out! Now, the reason I really love this cover is because, if you've been sort of following my career at all, you would know that I was a big boy. I was weighing in at about 100 kgs, and so, in about 2010, 2011 or so, I really made a conscious effort. I had a trainer, I had a dietitian, and I really made a conscious effort to take charge of my life and my weight. And so when I got the opportunity to jump on this cover, this is when I was sort of at the peak of it. I was training. I had lost so much weight. I think I lost 20 kgs in total, and I was literally just launching the new Verb, the new look. And so this is the cover that I happened to jump on. A big shout out to Munwabisi, who is still doing incredible things. I'm a big fan of his, man. So thank you so much for this wonderful opportunity. But I'm trying to remember what date this was. I think it was, it should be 2012 if memory serves me correct, that I hit this cover. Guys, as long as you calm me down, yeah, hold on, like 3, 2, 1. Right? But this particular cover made for a very interesting story when it comes to, where is it? To this cover. And let me tell you why. So, my good friend Kojo Buffo, who you all know, incredible poet, but also incredible writer, and just incredible mind, big fan of his as well, much respect to him. He at one point, I know, worked with Black Magazine, but then he later went on to work for Destiny Man. Now, as far as Destiny Man is concerned, I really always admired the kind of caliber of gentlemen who graced the cover of Destiny Man, and I really aspired, to be associated with this, with this kind of brand. So I actively reached out, to Destiny Man, and I said I would love and relish the opportunity to be on the cover. At first, it was a case of, now, we usually get business people and, people who are of a particular level and caliber, which I can absolutely understand and respect. So every time I would add something to the profile, say, because I was a musician, I had, been on television, but now when I got an opportunity to co-own the production company, I would send that. Add that to the profile, send it, and say, what about now? Now I'm also getting into business and I'm exploring. What about now? Then I would send something else whenever I would add on. Say I would add something else to the hustle, I would motivate. What about now? Can I jump on Destiny Man? Do I qualify? And so where this now becomes an interesting one is because I had been on this cover in what I believe was 2012. I got the response that there is no possible way I could ever be on the cover of Destiny Man, because these two, as you can understand, appeal to the same market, and therefore, if you like, compete. So because I had done this one, I was then told I could never be on the cover of Destiny Man. Needless to say, I was crushed, but not discouraged, and I kept pestering. You know, year would go by, I would add more things to the profile, I would motivate, and so one day in 2014, you know, I got a call to say, hey, listen, we'd like to set up an appointment, get your appetite on being on the cover of Destiny Man, and you know, we want to do an interview. Now, come on, it goes without saying, this is what I had been aspiring to for a long time. So I agreed. You know, we did the shoot, we did the interview, we did the backstory as well. There were some videos done, and when it finally came out, you know, I definitely framed it, I added it to the collection.
My name is ProVerb Tekisho. I am an entertainer, I'm a recording hip-hop artist.
And so when I finally reconnected with my boy Kojo Bafo, who was the editor at the time, you know, we had the conversation, and he said to me, look man, other than, you know, making a compelling motivation as to why you need to be on the cover, I also thought, seeing as it's my last one, this is Kojo, you know, I thought it'd be cool, you know, to put you on the cover. So it really means a lot to me, also because it was the last cover that Kojo worked on for Destiny Man, and so you can imagine my my gratitude not only to him, but I think just grateful that I was eventually and finally considered, you know, worthy to be on this cover.
The question, what is next? I always worry with having a definite answer, purely because I think sometimes you limit yourself by having that set path and set goal. So I would rather just open myself to the possibility. So rather do all I can to the best that I possibly can and try to grow in that space and be open to possibilities. I think Destiny Man magazine is for the quintessential, hard-working, forward-thinking gentleman that a lot of us aspire to be, and we want our sons to grow up to be, and it's an absolute honor to be considered one of those type gentlemen to make the cover. So
and those, my friends, are some of the magazine covers I've had the privilege of being on.